Case Study 0011, Dead 7, with comic Ethan Miller. A group of gunslingers must take out a horde of zombies to save a small town. Ethan, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what else to add to that. I guess I got a new day job recently. That's been nice.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Did this movie affect that in any way?
No, it did. I thought about watching it at work because now I'm working in one of those places that's like a very specialty retail shop, which is great because you just nobody comes in, like they're like, oh, we had a busy day, and then you look at it and like 5 people walk in the door. You're like, this is amazing. So I should have watched it while I was at work. I was talking about it while I was at work. My coworker was on board for watching it, but we just ran out of time.
Can I ask you a question about this movie? Are you familiar with boy bands at all?
Like enough. So the most fun thing is that pre-pandemic I was a bartender.
Yeah.
And one of the last places I worked was a concert venue.
Yeah.
Out in Rosemont.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like good money, but it was always like really trash acts that came through. So I have seen almost every one of those boy bands in the last 3 years.
That is insane. In the last 3 years.
So
at their
work.
prime.
And at work. and at work. Yeah. I look up and I'll be like, isn't this? And then like, wait, who is it tonight? And they're like, it's O-Town. And you're like, oh, oh, okay,
Town.
cool. Yeah. Like those guys. And then, so I've seen I had a conversation with Aaron Carter like a year ago, 2 years, right before 6 months before the pandemic started.
You're getting coke from him.
No, it was one of those. He doesn't do coke anymore. He's graduated onto meth and all of the harder speeds at this point.
I'm so sorry.
But it was definitely. He has one of those, those like selfie light donuts that you can put on your phone. He has one on his phone all the time. This is just always on there.
Wow.
It was great. I was like,
that seems inconvenient.
That's a move.
Where are you going to put that when you're not using it?
I mean, you have an assistant, I guess. I don't know.
There you go.
This has very little to do with this movie other than boy bands.
I disagree.
I guess it's true. There is a through line to this movie, and it is, guess what that boy band guy that isn't Justin Timberlake has been doing.
I think that before we even start talking about the movie, I need to list off who was in this movie playing what part, because I am completely unfamiliar with all of these people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And as you like read off a name, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Except for Joey Fatone, because he's Joey Fatone. I don't know.
Was he the okay?
He was my least favorite character that turned into my favorite character.
And he is the comic relief in this.
Yes.
Like he is 100%.
Yes.
Which, I mean, okay. I watched it and thought to myself, I think if somebody actually gave Joey Fatone a real shot at something, and he might somewhere. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I'm trying to say that like I didn't hate him in this movie.
I agree.
But I hated everything that came out of his mouth.
That is 100% accurate.
Yeah, like it is like you're like, who wrote this, and then who decided that this take was the take?
I feel like he wrote that.
But he's charming. He's likable
improvised
enough.
all of that. He was just like,
maybe it's just his daily life now.
Yeah. Yes.
I bet I'm not putting Joey Fatone past having explosives strapped to his chest in case he turns into a zombie at any given point.
You got to be prepared.
Right.
Okay, let me just rattle this off. Nick Carter was Jack, who looked stunning in this movie.
So, okay, also, was Jack...
He was the one that everyone was like, ooh, he's never going to show up. He's the outsider.
Oh, he was the brother, right?
Yes.
Not the guy with the girlfriend.
No.
Because they looked identical to me. Like, well,
one wore a cowboy hat and one wore an American flag baseball cap. That is not identical.
That's
the only reason I could tell them apart.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell them apart, but I also just, like, didn't... Then it would, like, transition to something else, and I'd be like, is he the brother?
Yeah.
Is it the brother or the guy? I don't remember.
Yeah. So Joey Fatone was Whiskey Joe.
Right. Only character name I know.
God bless it. Jeff Timmons, who I don't know if is actually in anything, like a boy band, was Billy, who I don't even remember who Billy was.
Was Billy the Joker one?
No, AJ McLean was Johnny Vermillion,
Who
was like the
Joker stand-in.
jestery. I'm wacky.
The one with lots of the clear. Who's in the blonde kid in Fight Club? He's also in Blade Runner. He's like a
Brad
huge
Pitt?
actor.
No idea.
Why am I losing his name?
You think about that, and I'll keep going. Eric Michael Estrada, who I believe is from O-Town.
Yeah, he is from O-Town. He was the one who's the ninja, right?
Yeah, he
With
was
the
very not Asian.
Yeah,
ninja.
like the question I had with this too is: it more offensive to just make it a stereotype, or was it less racist to go with the clearly not Asian guy?
It was.
But then every other ethnic person who showed up was a wild stereotype.
Oh my God, including the Furiosa / Native American,
like white woman.
Yeah,
I was like,
with
oh
a
God,
gray ass wig that looked like the fakiest wig I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like I might even own that wig. I don't know.
Jared Leto was the name I was thinking of. Why was I?
Oh, he was in Fight Club.
Yeah, he was. Do you remember the blonde guy?
No, I never saw it.
That's fine. You don't need to.
I only watch asylum movies for my whole life.
That's fair.
Serene, is that her name? The Furiosa.
I don't even know.
That's actually Nick Carter's wife in real life.
Okay.
Nepotism.
I mean, this. If you look at the further, like, it was written by Nick Carter. It was directed by the person who directed Nick Carter's music videos. This is not like I'm not surprised.
No.
It was a buddy. They like somebody had 50 grand like a bunch of NSYNC or Backstreet Boys songs got played one Christmas season, and we got this movie like in 2015.
And I thank
year.
them all for it.
Right.
There's Howie Duro. I don't know where he's from, but I know I read he was in one of the boy bands. He played Vaquero.
Yeah.
He was like the Hispanic guy.
Oh, right.
Chris, the sniper. Chris Kirkpatrick, who also not sure what band, but he was in one. He was Mayor Shelby, and I think that covered. And then there's a scene where they're in a bar and the deputy kicks everybody out, and this one guy, he looks totally out of place and is not an acting person. I was like, this is a cameo, and I don't know who this is, but I know it's a cameo. It's the lead singer for Everclear. Which boy bands,
here again,
Everclear,
just somebody they knew popped in.
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair, that's how all of this stuff gets done.
it's true.
Like
That's
at
totally
every level,
true.
like even like Christopher Nolan works with 6 people, and it's because he knows them and likes
Right,
them.
exactly. But this is just this is a smorgasbord of boy bands, and it's delicious.
Oh yeah.
And then Deborah Wilson from Mad TV was Apocalypta, and she was awesome. She was gross, and like her tattoos are beautiful. I don't know if they were appropriate for the character, but I just thought she was great because
I'm also really curious to know what your interpretation of this plot was, because as far as I can tell, there wasn't really one. There wasn't a good one. Like, I'm not going to say there wasn't a good one. There wasn't one.
Right.
I didn't know.
Oh, I thought it was just like Star Wars and the other movie that was based off the Magnificent Seven.
That's fair.
They were trying to get somebody or something.
Right. Yeah, they were trying to get the girl from Mad TV,
But
who was a voodoo witch.
yeah, I got kind of wobbly there.
Yeah. Also, they kept calling them copperheads,
Yep.
and I was like, are they gonna? And then they're just like, it was a copper mine, and you're like, okay,
Yeah, but why
Okay.
though?
but like, what is?
They're zombies that worked in a copper mine, so obviously they're copperheads.
Yeah, it's definitely that one was definitely. I chalked it up to. I feel like I know. I'm not gonna speak ill of like Nick Carter's music writing abilities.
Sure.
Or any of his like performing abilities. He's a good performer.
Sure.
He's a great dancer. He's a great singer.
Sure.
I'm just gonna throw out there that maybe screenwriting isn't his forte.
To be fair, he only came up with a story.
Okay, so the story about which,
Was
to be fair, was kind of like if you were telling me like I had to pick, you're like you can either rewrite something in this universe or you can just like completely, or you can just like I don't know. I don't know what I'm getting at. I'm just like wandering off to nothing.
you're what you're trying to get at is it's like one of your favorite movies you've seen in years. I get
Definitely.
it. There's at the beginning of the movie, Apocalypta is like talking to some guy she captured, and
Oh yeah, does she have like special zombies? Is that part of the?
she like trains them by injecting them with zombie juice, and then she's like, "You're my guy now. You have to obey me."
And then like I realized that like the thing that they were trying to do with the like is like when people's eyes went completely black, they were like turning into a zombie. And then I noticed in like the last sequence, the guy who's dressed like the Joker the entire time, who was ripping off Jared Leto. That's why I was looking up Jared Leto's name, because it was his Joker that they were ripping off pretty wholesale.
Yeah.
He had one blacked out eye.
I noticed that too, and
At the very end, I noticed it.
yes, and I didn't even notice the black eyes until the very end, with one zombie before that happening.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, they have black eyes. And now he has one. Maybe I don't care.
Maybe he's like half zombie. I think, which is an interesting enough idea, I guess.
Was he always half zombie, or is...
I don't know.
I don't remember anything
I don't think
new
so.
happening there.
Oh, my favorite sequence early on in the movie was when the blonde girl went and got a message sent out to the brother who was Nick
Daisy
Carter.
Jane.
Mm-hmm. And the guy who was delivering the message rolls up on a motorcycle and then just dumps it. Just not like gets off of it and then just dumps, like just pushes it over. And
I couldn't tell if he pushed it over. He was just like, I don't know what to do now.
Right. It was like, it's not driving currently. I don't know what to do with this. And it was also like not like he like stopped and like assessed the situation.
No.
It's like, this is where this guy is. He literally just like rode up, jumped off of it while it was moving. Someone fired a rifle at him and then was like, oh,
I have letters.
yeah, I have a letter for you. For you, a person in a field with a rifle.
Obviously,
Who we've had no exchange with. I don't know for sure that I have a message for you. I have a message for someone who's supposed to be in this field.
Yes, and you are in this field.
And you're in this field.
So it's for you.
I mean, I guess logic would dictate that you're at least on the right direction.
But you got someone shooting on you.
Also, did you notice that the black guy that was the sheriff that was early on in the movie? First off, there was like, he's the one who like put them all together in the bar, and you were talking about the guy from Everclear. He had the big sideburns that were falling
That
off.
was not black.
Okay.
He was like, I don't know if he was real Native American, but they really put like a stereotypical accent of Native American.
I definitely was. I'm a quiet TV watcher too.
All
I know, and also all I could notice is that his sideburns were not glued on properly.
They were like,
But like what, like his left one was hanging off the entire time he was on screen. There was like you could see the bottom of the sideburn wig.
Yeah, no, they were bananas. They looked like two pieces of leather.
And then was the guy with the eye patch that was whispering and then yelling. Was he supposed to be the mayor?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the mayor, yes.
Yeah, he had one sequence and he just like whispered for a second, yelled for a second.
He was like, damn it! And everyone was like, oh my God, the language.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. Okay, one of the things about this movie that I really liked, this happened in another movie earlier, they have chapters.
Yeah.
Nice little bite-sized morsels of movie.
That was also, I didn't notice. I was like just kind of like writing a note or like kind of not paying the most attention until like, I don't know, the fifth one. So I was like, they've been doing this entire time.
You're like, what the hell is this?
Right. And I loved the fact that like they would do the thing where they would like, they tried to do the interstitial, like, this is this person, give them like a freeze frame thing. But first off, they didn't do it with everybody.
Nope.
And second off,
yeah.
sometimes they introduced the person beforehand, then showed it.
Yep.
Sometimes they showed it, then introduced the person.
Yep.
Sometimes they just showed it and didn't introduce the person.
Yep.
And sometimes they just didn't have anything.
Consistency was not the key here. Yeah. The first chapter was the attack on Harper's Junction.
Right.
And that's when we meet the guy who's not Jack, but I don't remember his name. He wears an American flag hat.
Right, the brother.
Yes.
Right.
And I completely do not believe that a person that would wear an American flag baseball hat would live through a pandemic apocalypse. There's no way. He's not getting any shots. He's not well armed with knowledge.
It's fair.
Copperhead.
And then the currency is their teeth. That was also confusing to me too.
Well, how is that valuable? Bottle caps are more valuable.
And then Fallout's on a water system. It's crazy.
Yes. And so like the Copperheads come through this little sleepy town where all these quaint people are doing chores and whatnot. And the sheriff the whole time is sitting back on a chair, snoozing, hog shoeing.
Yeah, as like, and like gets killed sitting, like it does not move. It was as if they cast someone who then died on set.
He was in a coma when they shot this. They're shooting guns like 10 feet away from him.
Right.
And he's just like, hog shoe, hog shoe.
Yeah.
Nope. He deserved to die, is what I'm saying.
That's fair.
And then we...
There's also like a bunch of sequences where like a zombie will show up and then the person will just do nothing about it.
The people... It was weird because there were slow zombies, there were fast zombies, there were rambling zombies, there were zombies that could climb up on top of houses, and everyone's reactions were just stupid to all of it.
Yep.
That there are so many scenes of people just like walking through a horde with like no problem whatsoever. They're just like bloop-a-doo.
Yeah. Which is why I was confused wondering, like, is the first person you see do that is this Joker guy. And this was like, maybe he has some special voodoo power. I don't know. They never talked about it. They never explained it.
Nope.
I mean, I guess, you know, you're supposed to show, not tell. It's the first thing they teach in film
Yeah,
school.
they don't do either here.
No, yeah.
Some guy gets on a motorcycle and rides up. And I was like, look out, ladies. We got a badass on a bike. And then he shoots two zombies in front, like directly in front of two women. And if that were to happen IRL, those bullets would have been straight to the zombies' heads and then shot the women in the head both times because they were right there. It made me crazy.
And I love that they got the interstitial shot of specifically like the girl reacting to getting covered in blood.
Yes.
Which, you know, honestly was probably the sequence where like the person who ran the art department had an idea.
Yep.
And they were like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Like, we can go.
Where's this blood splatter coming from?
I mean...
Oh, no. Answer my question. Where is this blood splatter coming from?
It's coming low, high, too.
It is coming from the bullet that's right in front of her face.
True. But it also, like, when you look at it in camera, he shoots the back of the zombie's head. And then when it cuts in... It is like the blood comes from the ground towards them.
That happens a lot in these movies.
It does.
Yeah. And then we got, look out, gents. We got a badass in a Jeep, and a blonde lady pulls up in a Jeep that's super cool, and she like goes and shoots some guys or something. I don't remember. I just remember a Jeep.
Yeah. I love the fact that at this point, the note that I have is, so I did some PA work for a while. And I've worked on some. I'm not gonna bring up any movies' names because they're like this caliber of movie. And I'm just kind of curious to know like what the culture on the set was, because every time the most fun thing about working on one of those sets is that everybody behind the camera knows it's awful.
See?
And everybody in front of the camera is like really trying their hardest.
Do they know?
Sometimes. I've worked on a couple where over time it became apparent, and like the directors and the AD and the people who are like starting to kind of get on set are starting to realize, no, this movie's
trash.
This movie's gonna be really bad. This movie's gonna be awful.
I gotta think that anyone who has anything to do with Asylum knows exactly what they're going into.
I mean, it's a paycheck, honestly.
Oh,
That's,
absolutely.
At the end of the day, that's what it is.
But there's some of these movies, they're like, you got kind of big stars in them. And yeah, it's just a paycheck, sure.
Right.
But they keep coming back.
It's like the entire VOD. I mean, this 2 weeks ago, that entire shooting happened in one of these type of movies, right?
Oh, I don't even know what the kind of movie that was.
So it was an action movie that was built to be sold overseas, made on a low budget, and was going to be a VOD, straight to VOD drop for us. So this
that makes so much more sense.
It makes so much more sense why all of the non-union people, all this stuff, but then you still had a weird big star.
Well, yeah,
it's because he's bankable in China and is taking a huge because it's not they'll see anything. They just. How do you know?
Exactly.
If you're in part of a foreign culture and you're like, it has X movie star in it.
That's too bad. I would have liked to seen that now. Oh yeah, Apocalypta. She pokes some dude's eye out. She was awesome.
She was not given enough to do in this movie.
No, I bet that she was like.
I bet she was the only one who had something else booked.
Absolutely. And she was like,
I can only be there for 3 days.
Exactly.
You write the part for 3 days.
Exactly. Give me some way too much stuff to wear and vaguely Bondish and I'll do it.
Which those people on the said movie sets I was talking about are the ones having the most fun.
Yeah.
We're like, I'm only going to be here for a week. They start demanding things because they know they can.
Yeah.
It ends up being really annoying for the people working on the set because you're like, he's like, you know how much this movie costs to make. You are not
That's not why you're here.
Right. You can't just start. You are not like Bruce Willis making demands. You can't. No one is.
But I'm sure it feels like that. I'm sure. I think the part of the excuse to make this movie is because they all have steampunk fetishes that they really wanted to play out. At least for Joy Fatone, for sure.
Yeah, he did. I think there was that. I honestly think somebody took some LSD and watched, I don't know, Tombstone or something like that.
Oh, that's so badass. We could do that.
I bet it was The Postman. You ever watch The Postman?
No, I didn't.
The old Kevin Costner apocalypse movie where he's a mailman. The entire movie is focused around him being a mailman in the apocalypse. Better movie than this, for sure.
What?
Yeah, I know.
I gotta say up front, I didn't hate this movie.
I should hate this movie.
We should all hate it, but I didn't.
It's one of those movies that I sat and watched, and all I could think about is I've seen this movie in film school at so many different,
but
so many different lengths. I've seen it at 5 minutes, at 90 minutes. I've seen anywhere in between. I've seen this quality of movies so many times. And so, there is something lovable about it. There's something great that's about people making the dream happen for little to no money.
It's like coming home.
Right.
I love a zombie movie. I mean, that's my favorite genre of all time, and I know it's an unpopular opinion. And I hate Westerns more than anything on earth.
Interesting.
But I really had fun with this movie.
That's fair. I mean, this movie wasn't really... it was a Western in the sense that it definitely tried to steal as many plot points from the Magnificent Seven that also came out the same year. They came out the same year.
No.
It was the remake one.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say
not the original one, not the Steve McQueen
me, film
one.
School guy. No,
the one that flopped.
I don't even remember them doing a remake.
Yeah, and it had Denzel Washington in it.
Oh,
it had a bunch of stars in it, and it came out in 2016 and flopped because nobody likes Westerns.
Yeah, they're boring. I don't want to see.
If I'm gonna watch a Western, I'm gonna sit down and watch a Sierra Leone, a old 70s Western. They're
some
great.
Old racist old man with racist stereotypes.
Give
me stereotypes, damn it.
I'll watch Once Upon a Time in the West 1,000 times before I'll watch something Western 3:10 to Yuma.
Yeah, fuck that. I don't know.
I don't know. It was, it was the most recent Western I can think of that did well.
Okay.
But it probably came out in like 2010, 2011.
Oh my God, I was thinking it was from the 70s. I have no idea with Westerns. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They could
like,
be whenever. They could also, like, you could be like 60s, 70s. They could be like, no, that one's from the 20s. Like, that happens too.
Right. Because they're all gross and everyone's dirty and cold and they probably smell bad. It just seems
that's anything that's set in the past. I think about that all the time. Like if like you watch an episode of like Game of Thrones and I'm like, everything
gross.
smelled so bad,
and they had actually like toilets in the castles. It's got to be disgusting. There's no running water in there. They're wearing those clothes every day, the same ones.
I mean, not much has changed.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, there is also, I was thinking about this because I wrote down that, like, when is this soundtrack from? Or what is the soundtrack? Is it from 2007? And that made me think there is a version of this movie that could have done really...
Yeah.
Like, this movie made in 2003
would
have actually probably been, like, it probably would have gotten a rewrite or two. Let's be honest.
Sure.
They probably would have gotten an actual director attached to it.
Yeah. Technicalities.
Right. But, like, you know...
That's the other thing with the soundtrack. I was like, half of it sounded like fake grunge, and the other half sounded like boy bands covering grunge sounds.
Which is what it all was, I'm sure.
Yeah. I was so confused. Like, are they like marketing the soundtrack to be another moneymaker for the people involved in this movie?
I don't think so.
Acting. Okay.
I think they were using the resources they had, which was just a bunch of boy bands who were like, well, I can just score this. That's like what I do. And to be fair, the score was better than the screenplay.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
It was at least playing to people's strengths.
That's true. Okay, we got to get to chapter fucking 2 because we got like 8 chapters or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Not really. We don't have to cover them all. But that's when we meet, or at least they claim to introduce the Magnificent Seven.
Which is like 4 people at this point, too.
Yeah. They introduce the chapter as the Magnificent Seven.
And then there's like 4 or 5 people.
They introduce 4 people.
4 people. And then...
Did they even come up with 7 people? It's like
I think they do eventually. Like, I think like by the end of the movie, they've acquired the 7th person.
But by the end of the movie, half the people have died off, so they never actually get to fucking 7.
There's never 7 people in one room together. No, that's never.
It's a Spider-Man Clark Kent situation.
Yeah, like it's.
No, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so first we meet Whiskey Joe.
Who is playing poker and
winning and gets accused of cheating.
Right.
I'm sure he is because he's Whiskey Joe.
Right. He has a reputation to live up to.
And then there's an awesome fight scene because he got accused of cheating, and the guy's like, I got a new game. It's called Let's See If You Can Get Out of Here Alive,
and he pulls a gun
which is a horrible name for a game.
No, yeah, nobody wants to play that game.
But he kills them all or whatever.
I don't know. He hits them with a whiskey bottle.
Yeah. And then there's like every scene where he is outside and he's either peeing or he's just swaying back and forth because he's wasted.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed both of those things. I loved seeing him pee, and I loved to see him sway in his drunkenness.
Do you think they wrote the part with him in mind?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you think they wrote the part and then he was like the best at it?
No, I think they wrote the part with him in mind, and then he's like, "This isn't drunk enough. I'm going to. I'm gonna
start hiccuping every once in a while because that's a thing.
I'm gonna start singing weird tavern songs that no one's heard in 50 years." Yeah, that was him.
In my mind, I like to think that they wrote the character and then Joey came in and blew him away.
They were like, holy shit, dude.
Like, I did not know you had that in you.
I mean, you're a sober guy. You've been sober all your life. How?
Is that a thing about Joey?
No, I have no idea.
I guess I would be like, good for him. Honestly, if that's the...
He nailed it. I was convinced he was drunk.
He stole the show.
Yep, absolutely. Even though I really wanted to hate him, He stole my heart. So they were like, hey, we're getting the band back together.
Which also, like, everybody's there's nobody's linked to one another. Like,
No.
we don't know how anybody. There's the two people who are brothers, the one girlfriend.
Yep.
Everyone else just kind of randomly.
Yep. How did we even find Whiskey Joe?
Is he friends with someone? Does he know sheriff person with the missing sideburn?
Oh, maybe. I don't remember. So they're like, hey, Joey's like, Whiskey Joe's like, hey, I got someone else. He's perfect. He would sign his marriage certificate with some kind of bullet. What is that? Is that a thing people say?
Yeah, that's not a turn of phrase that people have. People don't.
What is that? I love this woman so much, I'm going to shoot this marriage license to sign it. All right. If that's what you're into.
I guess. Maybe that's... I don't know if you can legally make that your signature. I mean, one of your listeners from... I'm trying to think of a state that's, like...
Utah?
Filled with guns.
Oh.
Could you, if you were in, say,
Alabama?
Florida, Alabama? I mean, realistically, Indiana. Could you legally make your signature shooting something? Like, could you do that? Like,
that's gonna be really inconvenient after a while.
It would not for the person who does that though. The person who does that loves that every day. Going to the bank, shooting the counter. We just need you to sign here. Bam.
Just initial here. Oh fuck!
He pulls out a 22. He pulls out a little gun.
Yep,
Close
that's
enough.
how a little airsoft.
Right.
So his name was Vasquez. Is that what it?
Is that the
No, Vaquero.
Vaquero.
That's Vaquero. He's a sniper.
Right.
And then we get Komodo, right?
Right. Who's the guy from O-Town?
Yeah, he's a vigilante ninja.
Right. Named Kimono because they could definitely not come up with a better name.
Yeah,
than that.
The stereotypes, they were just like, let's pick like 20 different Asian things and put it into one person that's not Asian. Right,
who's Puerto Rican?
Very likely.
Yeah, like I could look it up. I mean, he's a famous person. I'm sure I could find out. But
and then that's when we find out that teeth are currency, which is the stupidest currency in the world. Everyone has teeth.
Right.
It's like it's like universal income.
I would love the like news story of the entrepreneur that got his start by knocking out 5 of his molars. You know what I mean? Like it's like I came to this country and I started a.
It's the American dream.
Yeah. The other side of it too, if they link that later on, right? Because they call them copperheads, and later on they say that it's linked to these copper mines.
Right.
In my mind, that would say that most of the United States is fine.
Like not zombie apocalypse?
Yeah, because...
Oh, that's a fair assessment. Because
right, if it's linked to copper mines, there's not I looked it up, like there's a decent amount of copper mines in the United States, but it's not like...
And it was a global pandemic, so maybe only the copper mines
I also
were
love
affected.
that it was like pre all of the COVID stuff, so
Yes!
they didn't have the right... They kept calling like epidemics and all... They kept using different... We're like, no, we figured this out now. We've streamlined this by now.
You guys are so dumb about this because we've lived it.
Right.
Okay, and then we meet Jack.
We meet Jack he's the guy that's the sequence, the motorcycle dumping, right? We see
motorcycle
him
dumping
in that, like that's the first introduction of him.
And my understanding of Nick Carter is nothing. I don't know Nick Carter at all.
He's
TMZ fodder is all I know him for.
He was. I think he was probably, wasn't he like the most famous Backstreet Boy? Probably.
I didn't even know he was in the Backstreet Boys till I read IMDb. I thought he was like in a O-Town or something. I don't know.
He was one of the big ones. He was definitely in Backstreet Boys. But I think he was like the most famous one in Backstreet Boys.
Wait a minute. Who else is in Backstreet Boys?
Because NSYNC is the one with Justin Timberlake. Justin Timberlake is the most famous one.
Oh, yeah.
But the two big ones were NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. At least in my mind.
For sure.
Like they were definitely the biggest ones.
I don't know anything about them, but I know that.
I know, and the only thing I know is that Justin Timberlake was in NSYNC.
Mm-hmm.
And now because of watching this movie, I know that Nick Carter was in Backstreet Boys. But I knew the name Nick Carter. He was famous enough to get his little brother famous.
Right. And I think that I confused the two of them.
Right. Which you should, because
Yeah.
like they write the same music.
Right. They're the same
They've been
person.
relevant.
They've been relatives.
They were relevant at the same time, and then they became irrelevant at the same time.
Bless.
Yeah.
But I always have this picture of him as just like this guy who's trying too hard. And I gotta admit, like in this movie, he kind of played it really well. Like I knew that he was a gross boy band guy, but at the same time, he kind of looked like who that character was supposed to be.
This is part of what I was saying. Like, if this movie's made in 2003 when he's in the height of his fame,
Yeah, no, it wouldn't
and gets
be...
a real screenwriter,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
find an actual acting coach for him.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
yeah.
he would be as famous as Justin Timberlake, probably.
Yes.
Like,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
because at that
absolutely.
point, I mean, like you know, I keep pulling 2003 because that's when 28 Days Later came out. So that'd be like height. That'd be like height popularity of like zombies were
Right.
in that moment. Like
Right.
that was the minute, and like boy bands, like that would have been.
Oh my God, that would have been perfect.
I mean, he probably, you know, had.
But at the
he
same
was probably blessed with
time,
the idea in 2016.
Right.
You can't rush these things.
No.
It's lightning in a bottle. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But also, he would have been 13 years younger, so he would not have been able to do it because he just would have looked like a little boy, and it would have bothered me.
That's also true. But you know, maybe you rewrite it and you make him the Timothy Chalamet character. I don't know. I also
was
just
in
saw
this?
Dune. No. I also just saw Dune this week, and I will say this one. Dune is
good?
it's a good movie. I couldn't spoil it for anybody if I tried. I don't really know what all happened in it, but it was good. I enjoyed it. I will go see the second one. I'm just ready for now that this new Dune movie came out. I'm just really excited for every toxic man in my life to tell me that fear is the mind killer again. I thought I was done with it with college.
Nope.
No.
Here it comes around the corner. All right, now we got chapter 3, Plan of Attack.
We're in the first like 30 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
Like this is not.
Yeah, no, it's because there's so much to talk about that has nothing to do about the movie. Look, I've got like 10 more pages in that. We're just gonna like.
How do you have 10 more?
these.
Nothing happens in this movie.
Okay. A lot of my notes are like, this is what's happening right now because I will forget what happens in this
That's
movie.
also fair. That's fair.
Okay, so like this note, they walk through this warehouse and one of them says, "Big ass door." Okay, that's fair.
So far, the two favorite lines I've written down are "Kill this psycho witch," which is a good one, and that they were like, "Oh, we go out there, we're gonna die," and then they look to one character, and he just goes, "Everybody's got to die someday." And that has to be the log line of the movie, right? Like that has to be when they were like elevator pitching it.
No, the log line is, believe it's a Backstreet Boys
Like lyric?
movie title, yeah, or song title. Larger Than Life.
That's the log line for this movie?
Yeah, it's a Backstreet Boys song.
Which, I mean, wasn't it like a Backstreet Boys album?
Oh,
Right? I don't know. I think so. I'm pretty sure that was like their big album,
Okay.
which
And
is fine.
But totally explains this movie
Yeah.
so hard.
Definitely got this movie in a nutshell, which is, to be fair, it's kind of true because you're going to spend this entire movie going like, oh, look at that boy band guy. Which one was he in? That's what you're going to spend the entire movie doing.
That's exactly how I spend this movie.
Well, yeah. I spent more time looking at my phone just Googling random.
Right, no.
It'd be like, wait,
I
when
was
did
watching it on my phone at first, and it's like, I have to look stuff up right now. I cannot be watching this
Oh,
on
no.
my
I
phone.
threw up like the curtains, got it dark.
Set the mood.
Yeah, threw it on the big TV.
Got a glass of whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Drank every time Joey Fatone took a drink.
Oh, that's what I should have done. Then they mentioned Serene. Yeah, I think that's her name.
Serene is the guide.
The guide, and my note is, oh, is she going to be a native stereotype? Ding,
Kinda.
ding, ding,
Like
ding.
kind of like a white face stereotype. Like
Yeah.
like there's a lot of
Oh yeah, she wasn't like.
no, it's not like
It's
not like watching-
appropriation is
right.
what it was.
Yeah, that's really that's what it. Very Coachella vibes.
Oh my God, absolutely! From the torn crocheted vest to the weird ass wig that looked like it was gonna melt if it got in the sun for too long. Oh my God, I cannot say enough bad things about this wig.
And when you're making a movie for this amount of money, you think that people's natural hair color will just have to suffice, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, if you're only spending $20 on the wig, who cares?
right? I guess that's true. That's not a big line item for the budget.
No. All right, so there's this weird scene that like the ninja and Trixie. I learned her name later.
We're gonna get to my favorite sequence. Possibly in film.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
In this sequence, they're standing in the middle of the field and like they're not making out, but like talking about making out.
Right.
It was.
And then there was like a zombie next to him that they kept stabbing, but it was all like comical.
It was
how many times they had to stab this and it was
stab it through the fucking brain.
Also, it was the same piece of footage.
Was it?
When they would cut back, it was the same zombie with the same piece of footage reaching the same way. They just cut the same piece of footage 3 times. Like they just took the same take from the zombie reaching at them. They just used it 3 times.
I think at this point I looked at IMDb and noticed comedy was next to the title.
Yeah, I mean,
and I was like, oh, okay. I mean,
they at least kind of knew.
Yeah, they
got done and they kind of knew. I should look up the last movie I worked on and see if it's also,
because it was not a heavy comedy. But it had its moments where they check this out. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
It was aiming at being a comedy.
Yeah.
It was, Man, okay. I hope somebody finally talked. Okay, I don't want to shit talk this movie because I did work on it. But I do hope, and I will tell you the title of this movie.
You can tell me and I'll cut it out.
The title of this movie, and no one could talk the director out of it.
Oh, God. Oh my God! No.
And we were telling him why it was a bad idea. We were sitting there being like, no. Do we need to show you why this is a bad idea? This is an awful idea.
And then you told him, and he was like, I don't see the problem.
Yeah, because I definitely wanted to go back and see what the critical reception of this movie was.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so I think this is where I missed a chapter. I don't know, whatever. But what?
It'll be fine, I think.
No, I need to know the chapter. I really enjoy when there's a chapter in a movie because then I can compress
you can just
little
put
chapter
a little
as a movie.
Right.
Its own little.
And you can kind of watch it as its own little chunk.
Yeah, because then
maybe they're trying to sell it as a TV show first.
Yes.
I bet you they were because it was picked up and distributed by Sci-Fi. So
yeah, exactly. And they ran those movies that I will not name, and also Z Nation,
right,
which they make. Anyway, one thing I notice is that they don't observe zombie apocalypse rules about being quiet. They're all just like, pow, 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 there's zombies everywhere, but they don't see us until right now, pow, pow, pow.
Right, and I loved that there was the only sequence where they tried to make a big deal out of it. The guy grabs a lead pipe and then beats the next zombie, and then a bunch of zombies show up anyways. The same thing happens. So it genuinely doesn't matter.
No, it absolutely does not. Yeah. We get a really good shot of them running over a zombie head with a Jeep tire. That was beautiful. Did you miss that part?
I think I might have missed that.
Oh, it was great.
How did I miss it? I wonder how they dressed that cantaloupe up.
Oh, it wasn't. There was white parts inside the skull that just looked like it was styrofoam or something. It was still great. Yeah. Then we go to Apocalypta doing whatever she does, and this is when I noticed she has weird things hanging off her earrings, and I was like,
they look like the
tampons? Yeah, they look like tampons.
I guess they do kind of look like tampons. They also look like weight gauges. This is also a weird thing. I'm a person who's done a billion things in my life. I worked in a tattoo shop for a little while. And so there's a thing called a weighted gauge. So when you stretch your ears out and then you don't want to wear the big plugs anymore, you take a weight and it will keep your ear open.
Oh.
And I think that's what that's for.
Well, later I figured out they were toes or
was that what
thumbs.
it was? Or thumbs or something.
But for the longest time, they were...
Well, they were pretty clearly look like tampons.
Yeah. Bloody tampons. Because it's the apocalypse.
Which is probably what the fake toes were made out of.
Yeah. With maybe the... applicator.
Hmm.
Anyway, chapter 4, Journey to Apocalypta. And there's a shot of Jay-Z Dane. Jay-Z Jane. And
to be honest, if they threw Jay-Z in this movie, I would have been so turned up all of a sudden. I would be like, fucking
yeah.
Really?
Let's do this.
Let's go. All right. You got Jay involved? Shit.
Damn.
And from that moment, just his scenes, I can tell you would just have like immaculate.
Yeah.
Like he was like, no, you're not shooting with that
me?
camera.
Oh, no.
But then he would have taken his camera. At least in my mind, that's the funnier version of this movie.
Every scene he's in is like
it's like crisp 4K.
Yep. It's the opposite of the Vaseline on the lens. It's like gorgeous. But they're totally asleep in the front of the Jeep. Like their sleep acting was like me in the back seat of my parents' car, not wanting to wake up and walk to the house. So I'm like, oh, carry me. Like, it was hilarious. Anyway, oh yeah. So Nick Carter's walking around. He's like trying to scope out the situation, and he sees another truck, and he goes to the back of the truck, and he whips this tarp, and there's like 2 dead bodies in the back of the tarp. In the back of the truck, and conveniently, somebody had cut the word bait on the chest of one of these corpses. So now we know what that corpse is there for.
Right.
Otherwise, I would have been totally lost.
Right. You know, label your food before you leave it in the employee fridge.
Maybe that's somebody's name.
Right.
They don't want anyone else to touch it.
Right. Wasn't that the truck like there's like a cold open. They're like in a truck.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't it the same truck?
It was the same truck. And
Is it supposed to be the same truck or is it just...
No, it was because they had the same driver earlier in that
I just wasn't
scene.
Yeah.
It
could have just been the same truck again.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the sense that like there's that one extra in like Crank that shows up like a billion times. Those are great ones too.
Okay, so Serene was like shows them a mine shaft. At least I think it's just a big hole, and she's
which
like,
is kind of what a mine is.
Right, that's fair. That's fair. But they go in there, and she's like, "That's where we're camping tonight." But it looks like they're in a yurt with like some crazy like fireplace hood, and like it looks gorgeous. It looks like a modern yurt that some like Instagram model has put
that they
together.
threw some like dust in the corners. Like, it's a cave. Man, the art department was trying their hardest.
They really were, bless them.
Right, when there's like $30 that was on the budget. Like they got allotted like $100, and they made it look really good for that $100 they got to spend.
They really did.
But they definitely went down to Party City and bought some cornstarch for some blood
and a wig.
Yeah.
So then,
they bought the wig at Party City.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you kidding me? I think right before this scene is when they decided they needed to split up into 2 groups. So like,
which the 2 groups when they split up, that is my favorite sequence in this entire movie. Possibly just is someone just like walking up. There's just a static shot of some lace underwear in a field.
Oh my God.
And the guy walks up, picks it up, smells it.
He's like,
and knows it's the woman that he's had one interaction with.
Yep.
That he's held and kissed her one time.
Yep. Like not even
and,
open mouth kiss.
Yeah, just while stabbing a zombie next to him.
Oh, you know why? Because he's Asian. And then they find more bras and underwear and stockings, and they all go nuts smelling them all.
Which, I mean, maybe just the cameras were rolling and they got Joey Fatone's actual response.
And then one of them says, "I can smell it. It's a brothel." Gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
I mean,
no, it's gross.
It's gross that's the response that they can smell a brothel. I'm not inherently disgusted at the idea of a brothel.
No. The brothel's fine. The fact that he's like, oh yeah,
can
that's the
feel it.
smell of a brothel.
Yeah.
That means that there's no medicine, no antibiotics in this
Yeah.
future. There's some really bad STDs going on.
I mean, to be fair, there's like barely all of those things right now.
That's totally fair.
But you would assume that a brothel would have a distinct smell. Oh, also that brothel
From like 50 feet away?
no, but I mean, in the same sense that everywhere has a scent.
Like Panera Bread and
Right? Do you think they like pipe in a sweet smell in the lobby?
It's like Universal, where every ride has their own scent that they pipe out.
I didn't know that about Universal.
Oh yeah. Like you go to the Wizarding World and it all smells like Christmas and like nice.
Interesting.
All the bathrooms smell the same. I don't remember what the Simpsons smell like, but yeah, they do it to entice you.
Yeah, I mean, I knew like the artificial sweet scent that Disney pumps in on like Main Street, and it's a very distinct scent.
Yeah.
And like I've smelled other things that smell like it, and you immediately go like, "Are we in an amusement park?"
Exactly. That's what they want from you.
I know.
They're conditioning you.
It's true. But then I ate the cookie. It was delicious.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
That's what they do. So I think the other group now is walking by a gate. It's like a weird fence with zombies.
I think that's the sequence I was talking about, where it's like the only time that he like is trying to be quiet. They're like, "Oh, don't make so much noise." And then he grabs a pipe, beats the zombie. I mean, granted, he's like grunting the entire time, so it's not like I get that it wasn't probably any quieter for him to shoot a gun than like grunt as he's beating something.
I gotta think it's a little bit more quiet.
It's probably a little bit quieter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. Also, I mean, they're firing rubber guns, clearly.
But my favorite part of this scene is like there's all these zombies reaching through a fence that is obviously trying to keep them back. And there's one zombie at the beginning of the line that's like holding on to a fence picket and also holding on with that same hand to like a bleached pelvis bone and won't let go of it. He's trying so hard to get through. Just let go of the pelvis bone. It'll be so much easier for you.
Also, you don't eat bones, you eat brains.
Why do you need it? Maybe it's like a security bone.
Yeah,
like his
true.
mom gave it to him when he was a zombie kid.
That's true. Also, that I love the fact that like, like there's no, like when they cut to that wooden fence, there's like a sequence that they like almost pull the cameras back too far, and you can see the end
Of the fence.
like they only built like a 5-foot section of this fence, and like you can tell because there's no shadows on
Right.
the ground behind it. Like it doesn't. You can just tell, and like when they cut to it like opening up later on,
Yeah.
they like pull back, and you can kind of see just like the end of the fence
There's a
on the right.
post that's just clearly nothing on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they do it.
Also, while the other group is in that whorehouse
Yeah.
or the brothel or whatever
Yeah.
they call it, did they make like a weird gay joke in the middle of it?
Yes.
I
Oh
was
my
like-
God.
And just the fact that they're like, oh, it's cool. Like it was like, no, man, you still made the joke.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
still you still did the thing.
Absolutely. That was exactly my response. It's like they show like the two dudes in the bedroom together and then the reaction of Joey.
And it's like it's definitely like that shows the one person and then you're like, oh, what's gonna happen? And then you see like the lingerie thing and you're like,
Right.
oh, okay.
And they turn
And then they turn around and it's another guy.
Right.
And like that's supposed to be like this shocking or funny
Right,
moment.
because
Like,
he's wearing lingerie, and lingerie is for ladies, not for boys.
I guess so.
And
We're not allowed to feel sexy.
nope. And the reaction of Joey and his lady friend are like, oh my goodness, oh, you guys have fun.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I know you're trying to cover your ass with that totally homophobic joke,
Which
but
is also
you
probably
still-
where my brain went. This movie probably could have been a good movie in 2003 where this joke belongs.
Man, 2003 would have been awesome. There's this one shot where the other team is on the mountain and like Daisy Jane and her American boyfriend are like oh, we love each other and we're alone. And Vermilion is clearly like, I don't know, 5 feet away from
Painted
them.
white, like not like, oh, he's like in the bushes, like he's 10 feet away from them, painted stark white head to toe.
Yep.
Laughing, like he makes noise, like he audibly laughs at something they say as
yes, because they're talking about how they're never gonna get caught.
Right.
They're hunters, and then he's like hiding behind twigs,
right,
like
just being like ha, ha, ha. And you're like, how did that's not
this is not possible. Chapter 6, the trap. And then this is when Whiskey Joe explains about his tiny flask of blood.
right?
And I love this little detail. He's like, oh, this one's for drinking and this one's for blood. So if I ever get turned, I'll want to drink this blood, and it's attached to all these detonators and I'll explode into pieces of Whiskey Joe everywhere.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Somebody explained to the screenwriter that Chekhov's gun theory. Because they do it like 6 times through the course of this. Like they bring a thing up one time, and then everything they bring up in the first act all comes true by the third act.
Yeah.
Even down to the fact that they like, while they're sitting in that bar talking about the Coachella girl.
Yeah.
They like, oh, she's the greatest. She just finds you. They mention it one time and then cut to 20 minutes later. She's there. She's on the team.
They covered all their fucking bases.
Yeah, they loaded. They just make sure the gun's loaded.
Lock and load. They're just shooting all these goddamn loose ends down.
Right?
I
They're
love
just
it.
like, we thought about all this. And you're like, did you? Because maybe you could have left a couple loose ends and maybe focused on the
Maybe just kind of
the how and when it happens.
Right. Nope. They find out it's a trap because that's the name of the chapter.
Right. We knew as the audience.
Right, because
we saw that. As a trap.
yeah. And we find the prostitutes are chasing them out. I'm sorry, the sex workers are chasing them out, and there's a sign next to this obviously warehouse staircase that they're running out of that says Philly Farm. No. I do not accept that. And then my next note is, I have made so many fart noises watching this movie. Just a lot of
Yeah, I mean, that sums it up.
Vaquero's dead.
Right. Even though he's like talking like he's himself for a couple minutes
Yeah.
afterwards. I don't know, because that's why I was like, maybe because then there was the sequence before with the voodoo lady and the Joker guy, and there was another person who's like, oh, maybe I'm strong enough, and that's why I was like thinking maybe some of them had like special power.
These zombies are all over the fucking
They were
map.
too busy making sure that we knew that Joey Fatone had a flask full of blood that was laced with explosives.
Worth it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to be fair, that's the one that I would want them to keep in there.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the one that actually paid off pretty well.
Yeah, it did. And so Joey, he gets to play the harmonica for his buddy's death.
Yeah, that also didn't make. There was no. It's not like if they like had this sweet moment where like they had played music together.
No.
It was the thing that reminded them of home. Anything.
No.
You know what I mean? Like there's no.
It's because it's a fucking Western and he has to have a harmonica.
Right.
And we have to think that he's
Those are
actually
the-
playing that.
Those are the union rules for westerns. There has to be a harmonica.
Oh, I had no idea.
He's just there so he doesn't get fined.
No. Oh, like I think there's a scene where Daisy Jane. Oh yeah, they go to that gigantic, massive statue of a woman that I don't understand why it's there, what it does.
I also feel like I know how this happened too. They went to location. There was a location scout who found something that looks really cool.
Yeah.
Because there's tons of really cool looking stuff in a bunch of little towns all the way through like
California.
I'm guessing. I was thinking this one was probably like an Atlanta shoot. Or like a Georgia, maybe?
I don't think that they venture too far outside of California.
I'm just kind of curious just because the tax break stuff. It feels like a lot of sci-fi stuff shoots down
That's
in
true.
Atlanta.
Especially zombie stuff.
Right.
Specifically Walking Dead.
Right.
Anyway,
Walking Dead really started the trend.
Yeah, they really did. But Daisy is walking around like all these like what I guess are gravestones because they don't really talk about what they are. They're just like weird statues everywhere.
Yeah.
And she's like getting really weirded out. I'm like, you're in a fucking zombie apocalypse. Why are these graves weirding you out?
Yeah.
This makes no sense.
Yeah, you've like murdered 6 people.
But
in
now
the
I
last
have
20
to see
minutes of
monuments of
runtime.
it.
Right.
Oh. Then they find a butcher cabin of some kind.
I feel like I don't even remember. I feel like I don't remember this stuff, and then when you start talking about it, I remember all of it.
That's why I write the notes, because otherwise I would totally forget. Okay, the butcher cabin is where her American boyfriend is being kept.
Oh, right.
In the cages. I think that's where all the humans are being kept by Apocalypto.
Okay.
And there's like
that sequence. That's the butcher cat. Okay.
Yeah, because I called it that because there were like the tables with body parts that they were feeding the other zombies in cages or whatever. And I believe that's when Vermilion comes in, the Joker guy, and he totally fucking kills Daisy, and I totally did not expect that. Like, this specific movie, I expected everyone to survive and be like, boy, we sure are awesome.
I feel like once she died, I was like, yeah, they're all gonna die.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was like a gut stabbing, right? Do you remember how she died?
It was something.
I just appreciate that they killed her.
Yeah.
They get stuck in a mine shaft, and zombies are coming after them. I like that. I like that they were stuck and surrounded. So now they're fast zombies? Nice shortcut. Oh, Nick Carter has this crazy monologue where he's like, I screwed up a lot in my life, blah, blah, blah. And like, it's very sincere. And I'm like, are you like trying to say this like for your past or for this character? This seems a little too sincere.
We've also just like not like you haven't
said a goddamn word all fucking movie.
Yeah, like this entire movie, there's been nothing. Like we don't know anything about you.
You keep saying that you fucked up.
Right, and it's just because they kept referencing that these brothers didn't like each other
right.
for
all
while.
We know, like he just moved out. Like we have no idea how he fucked up. Some people are trying to get past, like the good guy, Serena. I don't fucking know her name. And like Nick and all those guys, they're trying to get past some guys and steal some horses. And the guys that own the horses are like, they've got this guy pinned down and they're pulling his teeth. And you know what? That's the problem with the tooth-based economy.
Right.
Because people are just going to steal your teeth straight out your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem.
I'm just clothesline motherfuckers left and right.
Right? Tie them strings on them teeth and close them doors. That's all I'm saying. Chapter 7. Attack on Desert Springs. Which I guess is a place that they needed to go to.
That was like the last, that was like probably one of my last notes for this was like, wait, where's Desert Springs? Like, do we know or care about Desert Springs? Have you talked about Desert Springs at all? Like, is that the town they started in?
I have no idea. Like, even the first one, the first attack where they talked about that town, I was like, I don't know what that is.
Right.
I don't know where any of these places
It'd be like if we got to the end of The Lord of the Rings and they were like, we're going to attack the Shire, but we just had never spent any time in the Shire whatsoever.
What's a fucking Shire?
Right. And just like, oh, I guess that's a place.
And I was starting to feel at this point that there's some pent-up aggression between all these boy bands, and this was just another excuse to just attack and shoot at each other.
I think this was all just like, do you think when they went and did like weapons training, they just had photos of Justin Timberlake?
Yep.
Like that was the target. Like I think this was a very big
cathartic move for them. Yeah. I think their therapist organized this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was like
because they all have the same
like,
therapist.
You need to go through the ego death.
But first, the Justin Timberlake death.
Right.
More Joe Peen.
There's a lot of that, isn't there?
There really was, and I enjoyed every minute of it because he peed like crazy. He was like going up, down, around. It wasn't a normal pee. He was having fun with it.
Yeah.
And the ninja, he's still around.
Yeah. Right.
Still, and he has the best kills because he has katanas and throwing stars and all whatever stereotypical Asian
things.
Yeah, and he had the best decapitation where he was just like 2 katanas like scissors. Love it.
I also love that at the halfway point of this movie, the reason why they split off and they go looking. The reason why they split off is because they're running out of supplies, and then they just don't. They don't find supplies.
I forgot they were even looking for supplies.
They don't talk. They're like, "Oh, we're running low on ammo," and then it
boring.
just never comes up again.
They still have endless bullets. It's fine.
Right. Well, they have the guy with the katanas. They run out of stuff.
Oh, one zombie gets the top of his head shot off, and like there's just a shot of like top headless zombie with his tongue waggling up in the air, and it was beautiful. And then Whiskey Joe dies.
And
so sad.
Yeah. I was so emotionally attached to this character.
I know, right? Okay, and then Trixie shows up again. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
I don't know, like...
But, like, she shows up and she's like, hey, I'm here, whatever. And then she dies. And I'm like, bitch, you had one job, and that was to not fucking
I also
die.
love the fact that, like there's a sequence where he deals with, like, 30 or 40 zombies.
Uh-huh.
And then you turn around and 10 feet behind him in an open field... is one zombie who has his girlfriend on the ground.
Yep. And he couldn't.
And you don't. No. And the camera's been looking in her direction the entire time. Yeah. You haven't seen anything like moving in the background or going past it.
Nope.
Reverse shot. There she is.
Oh, wait. First, before we continue with Trixie, they show before, oh, God. Before Zombie Whiskey Joe realizes he has a blood flask, they show his CGI guts falling out. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. So, like, it didn't look real by any means, but it was beautiful. It was so gorgeous.
It was something that the person who had to digitally put that effect in was very proud of.
Oh, and as they should be. It was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted from that scene. And then he got blowed up. But so when Trixie and Ninja Guy are in the field and she gets bit, stupid.
He just starts making out with her?
He's open mouth making out with a lady who just got bit. What did he fucking expect except for her to bite his fucking tongue?
I mean, the one other character literally just like stands there and watches as a small child bites him in the calf.
Oh my God.
Like 30 seconds later. Like it's not
like, and it was like everything was fine. You got through everything, and then you're just gonna be like, oh dude, that's not good.
Rolling back a little bit, the only thing I remember, also the only other note that I've got is like the like guide girl and the Joker guy face off in one sequence at the end, like get into a fight with each other.
Yeah.
And there's like a couple of lines of dialogue about how they've been like waiting for this moment. But
really?
they never referenced it coming up. They've never interacted with each other.
Nope.
There's not even been a moment where they've like been on screen opposite each other.
No one.
But they go fight each other like they've been like old enemies that are fighting each other, like dueling to
I
the
had
death.
No idea they even knew of each other's existence.
Right.
Like this is the first time. This is new knowledge. Also, Ninja Guy tries to kill himself after he turns into a zombie by committing harikari because he's Asian.
Right.
That's not how you kill a zombie. He's just going to be a zombie with a sword through his stomach.
Right, with the open guts stomach thing.
Stupid. And then Nick Carter gets bit by a baby zombie. Oh my God, we forgot to mention this at the beginning. Serene, in her knowledge of all things Native American, they come across a zombie that's like tied up to some trees or something.
Oh yeah, the
sky burial.
Right.
My grandmother taught me about the sky burial.
Which, to be fair, I think if you rewrote the movie, would still be like a very like. I think the movie would focus around that imagery with a better screenwriter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it started to.
Yes.
They like try like they like definitely like knew that was the imagery they wanted to like only rest in death, give back to people, like do the right thing type stuff.
For sure.
But they didn't take that imagery or that thought process and apply it to any other part of
they didn't do that.
right like it was like, so when they got there I was like, okay, this is like when they get to the end moment I'm like, okay, that's like kind of an interesting there's touches, there's moments, some light shines through, we're like, oh, somebody had a couple of good ideas.
Sure. But it was another Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
It was like, remember this
Yeah.
because it's very important to my people. Who are your people?
Yeah, was it your people from like Duluth, Minnesota?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can of mayonnaise.
You don't even deserve a jar. You're a
Right,
can of
exactly.
mayonnaise.
I often describe my name as a tablespoon of mayonnaise.
But it was beautifully laid out with all the bones. She has committed Nick Carter to a sky burial, which is when...
They basically just tie you up to a tree and let some zombies eat you.
No, well, it's supposed to be that vultures are supposed to eat you.
Oh,
And then they go in the sky and
yeah.
shit you out so you fall from the sky. That's how I
I'm gonna write
always
that in my
thought.
will. What a sky burial.
And that's the friggin' movie.
You got through it in about as much time as we did.
That's usually how it works. I didn't hate this movie. There are so many movies I've seen that I really did not care for, and this movie entertained me at the very least.
Right. This is definitely one that if you're watching sci-fi and it happens to be on, it's like a Tremors type deal.
Uh-huh.
Except Tremors is better than this movie.
What? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Tremors is better than this movie.
Obviously, but...
What about... I would put it in the same category with like the OG Friday the 13th.
Oh, interesting.
Like not a particularly good movie.
Oh.
But fun. But really fun.
Oh, yeah. Friday the 13th. Yeah. No.
Like the very first Friday the 13th movie. Not a very good movie.
I watched it for the first time in forever last year, and I was like, oh, this kind of sucks.
It does. It's clearly very clearly just a wholesale ripoff of Halloween.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's also, the fun part is that that's not like something we unfoundedly accuse of them.
No.
Like it's something the screenwriter's like, yeah, we was just like saw that Halloween did really well. Decided to make one of our own.
Right.
Which is really, Nick Carter was reading about Denzel Washington and Chris Pratt starring in a Magnificent Seven movie. And went,
like,
hey, you know what? I should do that. But what if we gotta do something different? All right.
Yeah, we'll make it our own.
We'll make it our own.
Do you have a better name for this movie?
Do I have a better name for this movie? Dead Seven.
I honestly could. I
don't think I know enough of what happened in this movie to give it a better name.
Yeah, I really racked my brain on this one, and I could not
Yeah.
Dead Seven's pretty good because everyone's dead of those seven, if there were even seven.
Right. There might have been 9. There might have been 6.
Yeah,
depends on how you were counting.
It's up in the air. And I also, did you have a favorite line from this movie?
Other than the kill the psycho witch and everybody's got to die someday tagline.
I actually wrote that one down too. So I think that one's the winner because it's so cliche. Mm-hmm. Wait, are you serious? Everyone's going to die someday? Oh, fuck.
Well, I guess I might as well go on this suicide mission with you because one day I'll die another time.
Oh, God. I'm sorry, but I'm not. Hey, do you have anything you want to promote?
Right now, I kind of don't. Right now I'm just in the process. I'm trying to find another venue space to host my, I was doing a charity comedy show before the pandemic started called Beers and Bits.
Nice.
You can find it on Facebook and follow the page and do all that type of stuff. But you can also reach out to me directly if you're listening to this and you have a cool venue space that you would like to run the charity show out of.
Nice.
Because that is what I'm looking for. But yeah, no, other than that, I don't really have anything big going on right now. All of my social medias are Ethan Miller Stands Up, including, well, by all of them, I mean Instagram and TikTok, because those are the 2 that I'm on.
You got those after your horrible accident and you had to relearn how to walk?
Yep. Mm-hmm. TikTok has been teaching me all sorts of things. Dude, I have all the best jokes about TikTok. Just because it's a wild place. It's the Wild West. I love it so much.
Same. Absolutely. I get all of my science information.
And just some
astrology.
Some woodworking too.
Yes.
You know, something like that thrown in there.
Yeah.
I have an entire joke written about watching TikTok.
No.
Yeah. I mean it's mostly just a random thing I saw on TikTok. And then a diatribe about me, like, I don't know, 10 minutes about me, like, yelling about how runners get up in the morning and rub Vaseline on their nipples and walk out the door and tell themselves that they're healthier than you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's a real thing, though, too.
I know. It's gross.
It is kind of gross.
Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah. It's been fun.
It has been.
Next time, I'm going to make you watch D-Day.
No, I'm not watching it.
With Randy Couture.
Nope.
Chuck Liddell.
Uh-uh.
And Nick Cage's son.
Nope.
The funniest thing about... Okay, so, like, Chuck Liddell was, like, the early MMA champion when I was, like, a kid. Like, when I was in, like, high school.
Okay.
And you just look at that man and you know he has bad takes. Like you see him and you're like, this dude has like slapped a woman in a truck stop. Like he is
and doubles down on why.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And loves Joe Rogan.
Actually, no. He like pretty famously doesn't like Joe Rogan.
What? An MMA guy who doesn't like Joe Rogan? I have no idea if that's
he was just a
true.
commentator and whatever. And then Randy Couture was a guy who was an MMA fighter in the same era, but was substantially older than everybody. He retired when he was like 65.
Holy
he was a professional
shit.
fighter until he was like 65.
That's insane.
And was winning fights. Like was a contender.
You're blowing my mind.
Yeah, he started when he was 40.
Oh my god!
He like got into the MMA when he was into MMA when he was like 40 and won a belt by the time he was 50. And then like I just think it's wild that somebody was like a cage fighter until they were like a senior citizen.
Are you kidding me? That's totally insane.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
No. I couldn't.
I've been prepping my whole life to do that and I can't.
I was going to say like I was a boxer and did jujitsu and did Thai and all of this stuff. I am 31 and I could not I couldn't imagine starting a professional fighting career right now.
No.
That's what I want. I just wanted to shit on how goofy those two and like just like because I cannot imagine being in the editing room trying to cut together a movie with Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture talking to each other.
Here's what we do. You watch the movie, you cut it up into bite-sized bits. I will watch that, and then we'll talk about it over Zoom.
There we go.
For like 5 minutes.
It'll be a mini episode.
Yes.
And just the fact that Nick Cage's son took the Coppola name back.
Oh my God, that in itself. Come on.
Yeah, because Nick Cage is Francis Ford Coppola's nephew because Hollywood is one. You were talking about nepotism. It's what it all is. It all is that.
That's what rich people are.
Right.
They're just nepotism.
And then when you're not nepotism, you like got in through nepotism still because like Jonah Hill was good friends with a Coppola's daughter, and that's how he got into movies. We all should have just fucking moved to LA when we were in elementary school.
Yes.
And now we would all be in movies.
Yep. And famous. Well, at least rich.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
I mean, or we'd be living in LA, making a lot of money and spending it all on living in LA.
That's also LA. Fair. But if we moved there early enough, we could have gotten.
We could be a Timothy Chalamet, who is also an industry plant, or a Billie Eilish, who's also an industry plant.
Right? I just learned that Billie Eilish's mom was supposed to be in the Between the Two Ferns movie as Zach Galifianakis' sister.
Interesting.
Yeah. And this is before Billie Eilish was famous, so they didn't know.
Well, because she's like a producer, and then her
she's
her like dad is some bigwig in the business too.
Yeah, because it's all fucking everyone knows. God damn it! Why don't we know any people?
Because we live in Chicago.
Oh right.
Like that's the short answer. Is because like the highest, like the most clout you're gonna get is out of fucking Timothy O'Toole's.
God.
Right, you're gonna like the best you can do is like you win an audition to go to like JFL. Like that's the best. Like that's the top. And don't get me wrong, it's a huge goal. Like that's a goal of mine. Like absolutely. But like that's like the high water mark. Like that's the most we can do. Like,
I'm looking at all my emails. Like, ooh, maybe I should audition for this commercial. No, I'm not going to get a commercial. Are you kidding me?
I've had a couple friends who've gotten commercials out of here. Most of them then took that money and moved to New York or Los Angeles because they don't need a job if you get a national.
Right. I'm not moving.
It's fair. I mean, climate change, man. You won't have to. The industry will come to you when California turns into an island off of the coast.
Sweet, sweet oceans turning everything into shoreland.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Bye.
Thank you for joining me this week on the Asylum Case Studies. Special thanks to this week's guest, comic Ethan Miller, and a very handsome Andy Slater, engineer and mixer extraordinaire. Make sure to visit our website at asylumpod.com, where you can find my link tree, which will lead you to any and everywhere you need to be regarding this podcast. While you're at it, if you found mild enjoyment in the show, I'd appreciate a rating and review on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help me out too. Unless you're going to be a dick, then no thank you. I'm Trista Slater, and until next week, everybody's gotta die someday.